Meanwhile, the famine pressed heavily on all the land. And having consumed the provisions that they had brought out of Egypt, Jacob said to his sons, "Return and buy us a little food." Judah answered, "The man himself declared to us, under the attestation of an oath, saying, 'You will not see my face, unless you bring your youngest brother with you.' If therefore you are willing to send him with us, we will travel together, and we will buy necessities for you. But if you are not willing, we will not go. For the man, as we have often said, declared to us, saying, 'You will not see my face without your youngest brother.' Israel said to them, 'You have done this for my misery, in that you revealed to him that you also had another brother.' But they responded, 'The man questioned us in order, concerning our family, whether our father lived, if we had a brother. And we answered him respectively, according to what he demanded. How could we know that he would say, 'Bring your brother with you'?" Likewise, Judah said to his father, "Send the boy with me, so that we may set out and be able to live, lest we and our little ones should die. I accept the boy, require him at my hand. Unless I lead him back and restore him to you, I will be guilty of a sin against you for all time." If a delay had not intervened, by now we would have returned here a second time. Therefore, their father Israel said to them, "If it is necessary to do so, then do what you will. Take, in your vessels, from the best fruits of the land, and carry down gifts to the man, a little resin, and honey, and storax ointment, oil of myrrh, turpentine, and almonds. Also, take with you double the money, and carry back what you found in your sacks, lest perhaps it was done in error. But also take your brother, and go to the man. Then may my Almighty God cause him to be pleased by you. And send your brother, whom he holds, back with you, along with this one, Benjamin. But as for me, without my children, I will be like one who is bereaved." Therefore, the men took the gifts, and double the money, and Benjamin. And they went down into Egypt, and they stood in the presence of Joseph. And when he had seen them and Benjamin together, he instructed the steward of his house, saying, "Lead the men into the house, and kill victims, and prepare a feast, because they will be eating with me at midday." He did what he had been ordered to do, and he brought the men into the house. And there, being terrified, they said one to another, "Because of the money, which we carried back the first time in our sacks, we have been brought in, so that he may unleash a false accusation against us, and by violence subjugate both us and our donkeys into servitude." For this reason, approaching the steward of the house at his door, they said, "We beg you, Lord, to hear us. We came down once before to buy food. And having bought it, when we arrived at the inn, we opened our sacks and found the money in the mouths of the sacks, which we now have carried back in the same amount. But we have also brought other silver, so that we may buy those things that are necessary for us. It is not on our conscience who had placed it in our bags." But he responded, "Peace be with you. Do not be afraid. Your God, and the God of your father, has given you the treasure in your sacks. As for the money that you gave to me, I held it as a test." And he led Simeon out to them. And having led them into the house, he brought water, and they washed their feet, and he gave fodder to their donkeys. But they also prepared the gifts, until Joseph entered at midday. For they had heard that they would eat bread there. And so Joseph entered his house, and they offered him the gifts, holding them in their hands. And they reverenced prone on the ground. But he, gently greeting them again, questioned them, saying, "Is your father, the old man about whom you spoke to me, in good health? Is he still alive?" And they answered, "Your servant, our father, is safe, he is still alive." And bowing, they reverenced him. Then Joseph, lifting up his eyes, saw Benjamin, his brother of the same womb, and he said, "Is this your little brother, about whom you spoke to me?" And again, he said, "May God be compassionate to you, my son." And he hurried out, because his heart had been moved over his brother, and tears gushed out. And going into his chamber, he wept. And when he had washed his face, coming out again, he composed himself, and he said, "Set out bread." And when it was set out, separately for Joseph, and separately for his brothers, likewise separately for the Egyptians, who ate at the same time, for it is unlawful for Egyptians to eat with Hebrews, and they consider feasting in this way to be profane. They sat before him, the firstborn according to his birthright, and the youngest according to his state of life. And they wondered exceedingly, taking the portions that they received from him. And the greater portion went to Benjamin, so much so that it exceeded 5 parts. And they drank and became inebriated along with him.